we had a saying on the crew side of things, just it is what it is. OneRepublic toured, they do proper tours, but like I said, they're corporate shows, they're private shows. One day you'll be doing a show on a super yacht off the coast of Croatia, and then you fly to New York to do the VMAs. The next show is maybe somewhere in Europe in an arena. So there's no consistency. The only constant was change. We just got to the point where it was like, yeah, it is what it is today. Like front of house is on a barge in the river and the stage is on land. That was it is what it is for our poor sound guys, or doing the show on a yacht for the backline, getting the gear on the yacht. It was just, but I will say, like, man, did I learn a lot.
Welcome to the Gigs Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Sanz, founder and CEO of Gigs, the professional career platform for the live event industry. On this podcast, we are interviewing the very best in the touring and live event industry to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unreal moments of life gigging and lessons learned on the road. Today, I'm excited to welcome tour manager Kat Gauss. Kat has worked with OneRepublic, Queen and Adam Lambert, Black Sabbath, Maroon 5, the Black Eyed Peas, Iron Maiden, just to name a few. With a career spanning nearly 2 decades, Kat has been at the helm of some of the most ambitious tours across the globe, ensuring that artists, crews, and productions run like clockwork. Kat, welcome to the Gigs Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Seriously, this is so cool because over 2 years ago now, I met you because you were in one of my focus groups.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, here's this idea. So I've
been watching from afar. It just like skyrocket, and I've been so proud of you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I was like, I can't believe this girl is at my table. It's so insane. So this is a very cool moment for me.
Yeah, full circle.
And I want to get to the very start of your career. You've done some massive tours. Yeah. What was that first gig for you?
My first gig was for a band called Team Sleep. And that was the side project from Chino, the singer from the Deftones.
Okay.
So I kind of lucked out that, we had a bus. I didn't have to do the van tours.
Nice.
So it just I guess I got spoiled right out the gate. Mm-hmm. But that was a great experience because it was just meant to be like a little club tour in the US for a month. And I was just like ready to jump on any tour that would have me. And then while we were out, they added Europe and Australia. And so it, couldn't have asked for a better experience, like first tour experience.
And what was that position that you had?
Oh, I was the everything person. Like, I don't even think I had a title, it was because they were considered a baby band.
Right.
So I did merch, production, wardrobe was just laundry. So, but yeah, I mean, it was just me and the tour manager / production manager. So, and then, a couple backline guys, but we just kind of made it all happen, and it helped me learn, I got a real good sense of the different positions.
Totally. Starting out like that. What is the difference? I've only done North American touring. What is the difference, that first tour that you did, to go then to Europe and Australia? What is the major differences?
The US and Europe are pretty similar. Australia is great because they give you a local tour manager.
Really?
Is what they call it. Like kind of a promoter rep, but also somebody just dedicated to the artist party to kind of, guide you along.
To every single venue?
Yes. And in Australia, there's no busing. It's all flying because the cities are so far apart. So, you're in a hotel every night rather than on a bus, and you fly from city to city.
How many cities is typical for an Australian?
Australia, I think it's like 5 or 6. There's Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth.
I don't know this
5.
Continent. Okay, cool. And then you got a bunch of desert, right?
In between, yep.
Yeah.
Perth is the only one on the west coast that you'll do. Oh, I guess maybe Tasmania. Okay. I've never done that one, but those 5 cities I think are the
Copy that.
The standard.
So when you're being everything, it's going now. You're like, oh, now I'm a world tourer. Okay, this is crazy. Did you love it?
Loved it.
Wow.
Instantly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Why did you love it?
I loved that it was different every day. Like the job is the same, but you're dealing with different people and different cultures and different situations every day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was the most difficult, like, I guess, culture to be in?
going to the Middle East as a female tour manager.
Talk about that.
Yes, I had to, the plane, we were landing in, where was it? I want to say Abu Dhabi. Or no, I'm sorry. We were landing in Riyadh.
Okay.
And I had to put the headscarf in the, I take that back. At that point, they didn't require the headscarf for visitors, but I had to do the full length. Yeah, like covered from neck to wrist and ankles. But because I have light hair, I did the a loose headscarf just to be respectful. Like I didn't want to, I'm already going to stick out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to add to it. But there was a funny picture with, Zito was our production manager at the time.
Got it.
And
Who is this with?
OneRepublic.
Got it.
This was in 2018. And he has, tattoos everywhere. And we took a picture backstage of me with my full, head to toe, and him with short sleeves and tattoos exposed, and totally fine.
That's the way it is. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you were basically, you're the one in charge
of the band side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go?
It was fine. There was a few times where I had to, put my foot down and say no, the band is not going to be going off out of the backstage compound without me and without our security.
Right.
And I was told, well, the festival has security. We'll just, because they were going to a meet and greet. And I said, unfortunately, I need to go and our 2 security need to go. And the promoter said, no, we've got our own security and you don't need to go. I'll take care of them. I said, I can't really.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for me. That's why I'm here. They're not leaving my site.
Yeah. So it was kind of like needing them to listen to you.
Yes.
As a woman.
Yes.
Okay. And was it, so it was the worst maybe in the Middle East, but have you felt that similar way as a woman tour manager anywhere else?
I mean, everywhere.
Okay, let's get into it.
There's good experiences and there's bad experiences. I mean, it could be anything from, a driver that you hire that doesn't want to go the route that I would like them to go.
Yeah.
Or all the way up to a promoter or,
Yeah.
So
do you feel it from other women? I know we're getting straight into it. Hello. Do you feel it from other women or from men, or where does that usually come from?
It usually comes from the men, and it usually comes from the ones that have been doing this a long time.
Got it.
Whether it just be like a promoter rep or a venue manager or, like I said, a driver or, that will question, or we'll just be like, okay.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
yeah,
that's cute. I've been told to smile a lot more.
I would go crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been told that a lot too.
Yeah.
But I was young and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I should be smiling. And I'm like,
yeah, I smiled a lot. I smiled a lot when I started in this industry 20 years ago.
Right. So how was that different?
Well, I was, in my early 20s, so I was just wide-eyed and just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And so grateful to have the opportunity. And I still am, for sure. I'm so grateful for my, every job that I get. Now I've lost track of what
Do you
I was
feel
saying.
like you need to earn the respect instead of someone just actually being like, oh, this is the tour manager and this is what we're doing? Or do you feel like you need to go above and beyond to earn that respect or something?
Sometimes. I mean, I've had I remember one time it was in Switzerland of all places, where I was getting off the bus and our security was getting off the bus, and I went to look at where they wanted the bus parked, the band bus parked at the venue. And I said, oh, that's not going to work. We need to put this bus, here closer. And the parking guys from the venue, so I guess they were venue security and parking, I was telling them that, and they said, yeah, sure. And then they looked at our security guy and said, where would you like this bus parked?
Woof.
And he turned to them and said, she's the boss, like wherever she says.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's tough.
it's just weird.
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, it was really just, touring was just men, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for you were 20 years ago.
I was definitely the only girl on tour for a lot of tours.
And what was that like? Like, were you just kind of seen as like the PA, as that,
Yes.
the person who takes care of things?
Yes. And to be fair, I like taking care of people.
Absolutely.
You know, we have a nurturing sense, like I like to nurture. I like to take care of people. I like to make people's days easier. So I was thriving, I thought, but it's just, you end up taking on more and more and more.
Right.
So
And the emotional side.
yes. So it's been nice as my career has progressed to be able to offload some of that.
Do you feel that things have changed?
Yes.
Still needs some work.
Yes.
A lot of work?
It depends. You know what? I think like any industry, it depends on the people that you are working with.
Yeah.
So in my case, it would depend on the artist, whether they understand that. And since like Me Too and all that, I mean, our industry doesn't have HR per se. So again, it just depends on the artist or the people you surround yourself with, whether it be, even if it's the crew, maybe it's how the production manager runs things and what they will and won't accept from their crew.
Right.
Because a lot of times the artists have no idea what's going on in the crew.
Totally.
Let's say. They don't know if there's inner turmoil, and they don't need to. You know, that's why there's a production manager and a tour manager and management.
HR.
Yeah, to like separate them from that. But it depends on what each person will tolerate and what they expect from their crew.
What do you not tolerate? What do you put your foot down and say, all right, we're not doing that and you're gone? You know, what does that kind of behavior look like?
Yeah, well, definitely like hands.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's an obvious one.
Have you had experience with that?
Not directly. Not that I can think of. I've heard of other, people, but no, I don't think I have. No, I think I would remember that. No. It just disrespect in general, you know, whether on any level, you know, like gender, race, disabilities, any of that.
Mm-hmm. Any kind of disrespect. Do you have like a policy as TM, you're the leader, you're head of HR, you know, if people come to you like, here's the drama that's going on, this person did this, you know, how do you resolve that conflict?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I've been lucky that I haven't had those. I mean, I had one situation years ago where a bus driver came to me about some harassment from one of the people on his bus. And so I had to escalate it to management, who escalated it to legal.
Wow.
And I was able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You knew the proper channels to take that too.
Because I wasn't on that bus. I didn't witness it myself.
Yeah.
It was a he said.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so you are TMing OneRepublic.
Yes.
OneRepublic is this tiny little band no one's heard of, and you're going around the world.
Yes.
Right? How long were you with them, and how did you start with them?
I was with them for almost 10 years. I started off in 2015 as I was filling in for the production coordinator who was on paternity leave. And I just really liked the camp, like the crew. Zito was production managing at the time, and I just really liked the crew he had put together. And it was just a really nice environment.
Can you explain that? The crew he put together? What does that mean?
You know, the production manager, more often than not, is responsible for hiring the crew. Like, even, you know, doesn't matter how big or small the crew is. And Zito just always made it a point to find like-minded people, like people that were respectful, people that had a similar work ethic, or, that aren't going to complain about trivial things.
Yeah. Okay.
Like just, and people weed themselves out as you go. Mm-hmm. How they respond to stressful situations or difficult schedules, terrible travel days.
Yeah.
And everybody has good days and bad days, and everybody should be extended some grace. But after a while, if this is just a person that is just not going to be happy or just isn't the right fit with your team.
So I'm sure that was your schedule very intense?
Insane.
Like nonstop?
Yes. And it was with OneRepublic in general, because they do a lot of private gigs, corporate gigs, like massive corporations will hire them to be the entertainment for a conference or you name it, because their songs are so easily taken as motivational and encouraging and uplifting.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just a really good, and they're a safe artist. The client doesn't have to worry about cursing from stage or,
genre. I mean, it's pop.
Inappropriate lyrics, none of that. It's just all just uplifting and encouraging music. But we had a saying on the crew side of things, just it is what it is. To the point that we all got in Bangkok, it is what it is tattoos.
No way.
IIWII. Because we never, OneRepublic toured, they do proper tours, but like I said, they're corporate shows, they're private shows. One day you'll be doing a show on a yacht off the coast, a super yacht off the coast of Croatia, and then you fly to New York to do the VMAs, and then the next show is maybe somewhere in Europe in an arena, and then you're back. And so there's no consistency. The only constant was change. And so we just got to the point where it was like, yeah, it is what it is today. Like front of house is on a barge in the river and the stage is on land. And, so that was it is what it is for our poor sound guys, or like, doing the show on a yacht, like for the back line, getting the gear on the yacht. It was just, but I will say, like, man, did I learn a lot.
Yeah. Well, first of all, who is helping to produce these shows and create it?
Yeah. So depending on the client, they will hire a middleman production company who then is the liaison to the band, because most times the client, even if it's a large corporation or just a wealthy individual, they don't know what we need to make a show happen. I mean, we had one client ask if we were bringing our own stage, and we were like, no.
Yeah, it's in our suitcases.
No, yeah, gotta bring that in.
Oh my gosh.
And this is mostly for the production side of things. From a tour management side, I didn't have to deal with that nearly as much.
Got it.
But so the production manager would deal with this middleman production company, who then sets the expectations for the client.
And you're in charge of just getting everyone there and
the
making
artist,
sure everyone's happy.
Yes.
Or it is what it is.
Both.
That's awesome. And how many people got the same tattoo?
I don't know, but there was a bunch of us.
And how long had you been doing this, like where you had to say every day, it is what it is, to where you're like, man, let's just get in our bodies?
Yeah, we did this at the end of a Asia tour in 2017. And I had started with the band in 2015. So, it was fun.
I can imagine that type of touring schedule doesn't allow for a personal life to even be in the picture.
Nope.
How did you come to terms with that? Is that something you were happy with, or how was that?
I didn't realize it until I was deep in it. When I started in my 20s, I would have all the road dogs, like the guys that had been doing this for 30 years say, you can't tour forever. You're going to want a family one day, and you're going to want, you better come up with a backup plan. And I would, at 25 years old was like, you don't know me. I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I am going to tour forever. I don't care what you say. And then when I hit my mid 30s, I was like, oh, huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just don't even realize because you're just going.
No, it just kept.
Yeah.
Yep. Time flies.
That's crazy. But I feel like it only flies when you are enjoying your job. Because there was a time where I was like, I got to get off the road because this is the longest 3 weeks of my life.
Oh, yeah. Some tours are eternal.
But what makes a tour horrible? What makes a tour where you're like, is it the people? Is it the schedule? Is it the genre?
It's a mix. I think for me, it's been a mix of, the schedule probably. Because that kind of bleeds into everybody's mental health.
Right.
So, and that's part of my job as a tour manager, to look ahead at a schedule or a tour when it's proposed and like, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because, there's 3 shows in a row and, 14-hour bus rides, and my singer's voice is going to dry out and he's not going to get much sleep because it's on a bed. It's just those kind of things that you like. The longer you're with an artist, you learn their specific needs.
Yeah, well, I would love to hear more about that because in my role, I was thinking mostly of the crew, and TM is like your first priority, especially since you are a tour manager that kind of is even more specifically with the artist. Anyways,
yes,
right?
Fully with the artist.
Fully with the artist. Okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about and artist and band.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay.
But there was a tour mapped out in Europe in like C and D markets, which would mean like lesser known cities, let's say. And just looking at it and the first step was getting from the bus company the hours, like how long is it going to take from here to here to here. And once I saw all that, I was like, oh my goodness, none of this is going to work. So
for the artist.
Yeah. And so I ended up walking through that routing with the band and flagging to them where I think the problems are going to lie, just knowing them. And they agreed with all of it. So that was a tour that was interesting because by the end of the advance, like we had 2 different tours. We had one routing for the crew and one routing for the band.
Whoa.
Which I was actually really proud of at the end of it, because going into the tour, I was so anxious because it wasn't major cities. It wasn't, it was long bus rides. That's what it started with.
Yeah.
And by the time I got done with it, my singer said to me towards the end, he was like, this has been one of the best tours we've ever done. And I could have cried because it was just so fulfilling to hear that like the hard work paid off and we made it happen.
Yeah.
To the point that like the band was not just survived it, but was happy with it. And what
do you change? How does that work?
I changed for the band. Now this worked because, band and crew were very separate. And so we were able to charter for some of the
nice.
That helps.
Girl, hey.
It helps. And we were able to, for our days off, I was able to route our bus into the major cities near the C and D markets where the shows would be. So we were able to sleep in hotels every night and just use the bus for a day drive, let's say. For the shorter drives.
To get better sleep.
So the artists could get better sleep, enjoy their limited time off in a major city rather than, like
middle of nowhere.
Podunk, whatever.
Yeah.
And because it's all about the experience for the artists at this level, they want good food. They want nice hotels, coffee shops, shopping, sightseeing, just something to keep them stimulated and happy. So they're not just stuck in a hotel room staring at 4 walls.
We, especially on this podcast, we talk a lot about how to take care of the crew, but it is very interesting to think about, I think the first thing you think about is like, oh, the artists, like they got it easy. All they do is walk in on stage, do the show.
I mean, comparatively they do.
But no, they don't. I mean, they're all, everyone, it's all a job.
Yes. Coming from the crew side of things, there were many times where even as a tour manager, I would be able to flag like, hey, we can make this happen as the band because we're going to charter, but you guys got to think about what this means for the crew and their travel.
Right.
And they get off the plane and have to go straight into load in, et cetera. So those, I felt like that, I was glad about my production experience.
Yeah.
So that I could remind management, the agent, and the band, because a lot, the band cares about their crew and they want to keep them happy and healthy and safe.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely been helpful to be able to flag to the band who doesn't think that way because they don't have to.
Yeah. So you're thinking also, you said something, their voices. And
yes.
How are they doing this many shows back to back with not much rest? Their performance isn't going to be as good, and they're not going to be happy.
Right.
A few questions that first came to mind is, number one, when an artist loses their voice, what do you do?
I would imagine it would be different for every artist. I've only had it happen with one, and it just depends on, you get a doctor in.
Okay.
Sometimes there's steroid injections. Sometimes it's vocal rest. Sometimes it's cancel a show. Wow. Unfortunately, that's the very last resort. But depending on, is it an illness? Is it just being worn down? That kind of thing.
Is there a special tea?
I mean, my guys would do the throat coat tea and
okay.
And there's different lozenges and,
Cool.
But you got to be careful that you don't force it too much, because then it's like, are you going to cancel one show and let them get better? Or are you going to force through the next 3 shows, and then by the end of that, you might have to cancel the rest of the tour?
True.
I've been lucky. I've never been with an artist that has had to cancel more than like one show at a time. But again, that's just how they take care of their own voice, and
right.
They'll tell you what they need because they know their instrument.
True that.
So to say, yeah.
That's crazy. I even think Taylor Swift did a 2-year.
I cannot even imagine. She is a machine.
Yeah.
And
she probably must not speak, I don't know.
I did read somewhere that she did like 3 hours on the like she sang her whole set while on the treadmill.
Genius.
To prepare for. I mean,
that's
I bow
crazy.
down. I cannot.
I talk too long during the week, and I'm like, I'm done for the weekend. I can't talk.
She's an inspiration. She's so impressive.
Wild. Okay, so that's if they lose their voice. My first concert ever was Shania Twain, and I was like in 2nd grade, and it was incredible. She was my girl.
Yeah.
And it was the tour that she lost her voice on, and I think Charlotte was the last show. Then she canceled the rest of the tour.
Oh no!
So my thought of concert
that's got to be hard on
was
her too.
So sad. I was like, oh, the CD sounds good, but it sounds bad in person. But no, it's the poor woman just had a. Anyways, so that's always my first thought is how do they continue? Do you travel specific ways on the bus? Do you have humidifiers in there? Or is there anything that,
whatever's needed.
I don't know why I'm set on this question.
No, that's
we'll move
okay.
on.
It's just different for every artist.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever worked for an artist, and you don't have to say the name, that is so particular that you got to be on edge all the time?
Yes.
Ooh. Let's talk about it. You don't have to say their name, okay. But what were some of the things?
It was just a very specific pre-show routine, the primping and the.
Mm-hmm. I like to make people uncomfortable. Sorry.
Yeah. Because I'm very detail oriented and I'm very particular and I'm a perfectionist, so I can appreciate things needing to be a certain way, but there's even times where I'm like, come on, let's just go. You look great. Let's just get on stage.
Yeah.
Which is not my place, even as a tour manager, not my place to say. So I've had to bite my tongue on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the green M&M theory is totally for real.
So interesting fact about the green M&M theory.
Okay.
This is what I have heard or learned why that kind of thing is put into a hospitality rider.
Yeah.
So that people in my position or the hospitality team, they can come in and real quick, if they see there's no green M&Ms in that bowl, they can safely assume that the rest of the rider is sorted. Because if the venue team, if the catering team has taken the time to pick out the green M&Ms, surely they've done the other stuff on the list.
Genius.
I know.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I get it. Like,
yeah.
Because I had funny enough, the same client for the private event that asked if we were bringing our own stage said the green M&M thing. They compared our rider to, this seems like something Van Halen would ask for. You want no green M&Ms too? And I was like,
okay, I don't like you already.
It was just one of those like...
That's such an interesting thing. It's like, yeah. Are they actually going to be detail oriented? Are they really going to put in that effort?
It's just a quick
yeah.
ish. Because some of these riders are multiple pages long.
Yeah.
And depending on the staffing of the tour, and sometimes there's only one person who has to like make sure everything's done.
Yes.
That's a quick little...
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially if I would think if you're like a celiac or you are gluten-free or something, I would be
dietary requirements.
Yeah, testing those hospitality people every day. That's crazy. What is one of the biggest shifts in maybe really anything over these past 20 years for you, whether that's technology, whether that's a culture shift? What is the biggest change that you feel like touring today versus when you first started?
I mean, I think like the technology has, obviously when I started touring, there was emails and laptops and cell phones. Like I cannot imagine doing this job without that. Mm-hmm. Big respect to the tour managers of the 80s. Mm-hmm. Like I just cannot, there's just no way.
No.
Although I wonder if that technology has created the sense of urgency when there isn't an urgency, like...
Very true.
I'm emailing you at 2 a.m. It's now 6 a.m. Why haven't you responded?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, but and also the world has never had an Eras tour size performance or Beyonce or any of those. Right. So what technology has allowed us to grow into is phenomenal. But yeah, like quality of life. How is everyone really doing? Is it better?
Yeah. Because you can't, even now on an airplane, like it used to be at least the international flights, like over the ocean, there's no Wi-Fi. Sorry, catch me in a few hours. But now there's there's Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other shifts that you've seen or that you're like, that is positive maybe or negative?
There's definitely more females on the road. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you're in it and you grow with it, it's harder to notice the changes, maybe.
Yeah. Well, what do you think women bring to touring?
They bring nurturing. They bring a sense of detail, multitasking. I'm pretty sure there's been studies that show that women's brains are better multitaskers than men. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I think all of that is helped by the longer you're with an artist, because you're learning new people. You're learning people, and you're learning their habits and their preferences and their quirks. So I might be a great tour manager for an artist that I've been with for 10 years. But once I start with another artist, there might be some hiccups as I'm learning them, and they're learning me, or, it's a relationship. It
Absolutely.
Just takes time.
What has been one of your most rewarding experiences as a tour manager? What something that is just extremely memorable moment?
Ooh. It was back in 2018. It was my first tour as tour manager with OneRepublic, and we were in Asia. So I went to the airport ahead of the band with all their passports and bags to check everybody in. This was in Kuala Lumpur, and we were flying to Seoul, South Korea. And the agent is checking everybody in, swiping the passports, and she gets to my drummer's passport, and it says, the passport comes up as stolen. And I said, nope, it's right there.
You're holding it.
Here it is. And she said, yeah, I can't issue a boarding pass for this one. And I said, but we flew here from India or wherever it wasn't our first stop. And she was trying to override the system, and she finally just turned the screen around to me and it said, Interpol, Korea, do not board. And I was like,
oh no.
Well, and the band was walking in and I'm just handing out all their boarding passes. And I said to my drummer, I was like, you hang here with me for a second. Luckily, of all the flights on that tour, that was the one flight that we were on the same flight as the crew. So Zito, again, our production manager, was on that flight. He was already at the gate with the crew, and I'm calling management in America. I'm calling our passport and visa agent. For some reason, this passport has come up as stolen, and and they won't. So
what does that even mean?
I don't know. It was, I didn't know what to
crazy.
do. And thank God our promoter rep was staying with, he stayed with me at the airport, and I just had to send the rest of the band through. And I said, Zito, you're in charge of them. Get them on the plane.
Yeah.
And the promoter in South Korea was on the other end waiting to put them in cars. So that part was taken care of. And then it was just me and my drummer and our promoter rep. And I finally got a phone number to the U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh my gosh.
Over an hour drive away. The lady, thank God for her, said, we'll stay open for you, because they were closing, of course. And she said, just get here as soon as you can. I'll wait for you. And I was like, okay. We drive an hour to this embassy. I can't take my phone in. Have to leave the phone in a locker. It's just me and him in there with his stolen passport
that he's holding. Yep.
And we filled out the emergency paperwork, and she said, great, I can get this processed in an hour. She was like, I just need a passport photo. And I was like, you can't take that here? And she was like, no. And I said, well, I have a digital version on my phone that's outside in this locker. And she's like, no, we need an actual passport. She goes, if you drive down the street and around the corner, there's a grocery store, and you can get the photos done there. And I was like, will you wait for us to come back? And she's like, yeah, okay. And I was like, oh my God. So we go back outside. Promoter rep drives us to this. It was a grocery store, and we went upstairs, and there was a lady in the corner with an infant on her lap. And she said, yeah, come here, we take photo. and she took his photo, printed it out. We haul ass back to the embassy. They print him an emergency passport.
Okay.
And they're punching holes in his stolen passport, which means it's completely void.
Whoa.
And she happened to hear me say to him, this is great. There's one more flight to Seoul tonight at 11. We can make it on that flight. And she said, oh, did you say you're going to try to fly out tonight? And I said, yeah, you're giving us this passport. Thank you so much. You saved the day. And she goes, well, now that I've punched holes in the other one, his entry stamp is invalid, and you need a valid entry stamp to get an exit stamp. So you're not going to be, and to get a new entry stamp, you have to go to this other office, and they're already closed. But they open at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I was like, what?
When was the show?
We had one day off.
Thank God.
So thank goodness. Which I was on the phone with management. They were flying another drummer over just in case, which I could not tell.
Yeah.
Because he was already just felt so defeated. And so we leave. We took the emergency passport. We leave the embassy, and I was like, let's just go back to the airport and try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Jail.
Well, I just thought, why don't we just try? I mean, you have an entry stamp.
Yeah.
We have it in this passport. We just don't have it in this one. And so if they want to see it, we'll just show it to them. And maybe because it's the luck of the draw who you get at these counters.
Yeah.
Maybe we can explain our way through. And so we went back to the airport, an hour drive, got new tickets for that last flight out. We were in line, and God bless this promoter rep that just stayed with us this whole time, who did not have to, and he did. And we were in line at immigration forever. And as we were getting closer, my drummer was like, okay, what do you want me to say? And I was like, you're not going to say anything. I'll just do all the talking.
Yeah.
And so he presented his new passport. And of course, they look for the entry stamp. And so he shows them the old passport. And the lady was very confused. And there was a language barrier. And I said, well, what happened is we have 2 passports. And this one, somebody said it was stolen, but it wasn't. But we got another passport today, and we don't really have time to go get the new stamp, but the old stamp's right here because we flew in 2 days ago. And like, the more I kept talking, the lady just said, that's fine, just go. And I was like, okay, thank you. And we got through, and we were both like, are we good? Like,
oh my gosh.
We got through Malaysia
Yeah.
immigration. What's going to happen? Because his visa for Korea was tied to the stolen passport that now has holes in it.
You're trying to get into Korea, yeah.
So it was just, even then we couldn't relax on the flight, the 6-hour flight, because we were like, what happens when we get off the plane in Korea? At least we'll be in the right country.
Yeah. Just kidding.
And but we made it. We got through. Korea had no problems.
So maybe moral of the story is just rant. Just keep
talking.
Just keep talking. And they'll just get annoyed and get you through.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a wild story. Like, that was the wildest. We still talk about that because, like, he was ready to go home. Yeah, it is what it is. He literally said, like, just, you know what, forget all this. Just put me on a plane. I'm going home. And I was like, you're not going home. We're going to Korea, and you're going to do this show, and we're going to finish this tour, and it's going to be fine.
Yes. Wow. Well, that's also just such a good example of how far the tour manager will go to make the show go on.
Yeah.
And take care of the band and crew. I mean, to take care of this drummer that was already defeated.
Yeah.
He already had a replacement out there.
He didn't know that. The replacement showed up.
Really?
Because even once we got through Malaysia immigration, and I told management, like, all right, we're through. They said, well, should we not have the... And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen when we land in Seoul. So just get him on the plane.
It's so smart.
Look at it. It can't hurt.
Was that the best show that drummer ever had?
I mean, he was tired.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. I mean, to be touring in Asia with all of the crazy, like, just everything culturally different, the language barriers. How quickly, I mean, how long did it take to learn all of that? And how did you learn it all?
Luckily, in those countries, you know, you get a promoter rep, a local person in every city and in every country. And they're very helpful with the do's and don'ts. Like, even before we went to Saudi Arabia, we got a 10-page PDF of do's and don'ts.
I'm going in 2 weeks. I need to talk to you about that later. Okay.
I mean, it's gotten way better. Like, the do's and don'ts we got in 2018 were way different than the ones we got in 2024.
Got it.
So it's
wild.
yeah.
What's your favorite continent to tour in?
Ooh, Australia.
Okay. And why is that?
They make it so easy, and they're so lovely. They're just such nice people down there. I mean, look, there's nice people everywhere.
Yes.
Especially in our industry. You know, everybody is generally happy to make a show happen.
Yes.
Because it's not life or death, you know? It's fun. It's not brain surgery. It's meant to be a fun experience, and you're bringing a joyful experience to people.
Have you had any memorable mentors that have really helped guide the path for you?
Yeah, Zito. I keep talking about Zito.
We need him on the podcast.
You do. He's very high maintenance, so get ready.
Okay. We'll have a writer.
You'll need some flowers.
Oh.
Fresh flowers.
Okay.
Please leave that in.
Heard.
No, Zito, we worked together the first time in 2009. And we just have the same kind of work ethic. We see things the same a lot of the time. We're both Virgos. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But he's been such a good friend and mentor because he has gone so far in his career too. I can always, even though he's on the production side of things and I'm on the artist side of things, and you know, there's different views on all that, and different pros and cons. I can always run something by him, and I know he will give me his honest opinion. Knowing me and knowing, like, he'll always tell me what he thinks is best for me.
That's great.
I trust him fully.
Okay. And so are you like to be just the more upfront kind of blunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that how you give?
That's gotten me in a lot of trouble.
Okay. You tell it like it is.
Yes. Because there's no time to dance around it.
Yes.
Yes. That's where I'm going to leave that.
I completely agree. And I feel like I've had to adjust my style because it can make people uncomfortable for sure. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we'll move on from there.
That's right.
What is the first concert you ever attended?
Ooh.
As a fan?
As a fan? I think it was like Weezer.
Nice.
I was in high school. It was Weezer, No Doubt, and the Lunachicks. Why do I remember that? I don't know. But it was at an amphitheater in Virginia Beach. And
is that where you're from?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yep.
What brought you to Nashville?
I just change of pace, but nothing too crazy. Like I didn't want LA. I just wanted.
And you've never done country, right?
No.
You stick with the regular touring, not Weekend Warrior. So
I wouldn't mind the Weekend Warrior. I don't think. I don't know.
Okay.
Never done it. Although, like, doing all the corporate shows with OneRepublic, those were not necessarily on weekends, but they were in and out. So I'd be gone from home for 2 nights, 3 nights, come back. Anytime you can leave with just a carry-on bag, it's not bad.
That is great. What is your ideal day off when you come home, the most ideal day you could have to recharge?
Oh, just being home. It doesn't even matter. Like ordering takeout and just being at home.
Rotting at home.
Yep. Yeah.
How was COVID for you? Was it tough to be home
Very
for that
tough.
long?
But Zito, again,
he
started the sourdough cinnamon roll business, Rock and Rolls.
Oh.
And I was him and his wife, and I helped them pretty much from the beginning. So we ended up it started in his kitchen in Mount Juliet, and then we ended up scaling up so quickly that we ended up in a commercial kitchen in East Nashville to bake these cinnamon rolls every weekend.
Oh my gosh.
And then we partnered with Music Cares to give like a certain percentage of every roll sold. So between June of 2020 and December of 2020, I think we sold like 30,000 rolls.
Who was buying these rolls? So online? You were selling it online?
It was like you sign up online, you order them online, and then we had like pickup locations all around Nashville.
Oh my gosh.
It was like it just went from 0 to 60, and we were like, what are we doing? And we found ourselves like doing manual labor, rolling out dough in a commercial kitchen at 4 a.m. Like it's just the wildest. Yeah.
So you didn't take a proper break, really?
No, we did like worse work.
Yeah, right.
We did actual manual labor.
Dang.
Yeah, his back was hurting. He was crying. I was crying. It was just, man.
When'd you go back out on the road?
June of 2021.
Man. Yeah, was that the longest you've ever?
Yes.
Why do you not like just being home? Like, why do you like to just go?
I do love being home.
Okay.
The older I get.
Yeah.
But, I got to pay bills.
Yeah.
So I like doing that. Mm-hmm. So that means I got to go.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's nice to change it up again a little bit.
In your role as tour manager for the artist, what is something that you will always have on hand?
Ooh. I called it my band bag.
Yeah.
Just a little toiletry bag of just the silly stuff they ask for at any random moment. It could be chapstick, gum, Aleve, lozenges.
Mm-hmm. You're just ready.
Yep.
You have it. Oh, that's amazing. I might ask you for a detailed list that we can put out. That's super cool.
Totally.
I have a question of biggest logistical nightmare you've ever had to solve, and I think you've already told that story.
That was that one.
What was the best piece of advice that anyone ever told you as you were starting out, or that you could maybe give?
You catch more flies with honey. Yep. My production manager on Iron Maiden told me that, Dickie Bell. He's a legend.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like you get more out of people.
With kindness.
With kindness, yeah.
Catch more.
And I'm more successful at it some days than others.
Yeah.
It's a constant, you constantly have to be aware of it and work on it. Because I have found that when I feel like a situation is out of my control, then my stress and anxiety, I might not deliver something as kindly or with as much grace as I should. So That's just been, that's just a life lesson, I think. Just something to always have in the back of your head and always keep working on. And that's right. And it is what it is.
And it is what it is.
Like you do your best. And that's one thing as a tour manager, you have to rely on other people.
Okay.
To help you be successful, whether it be hotel staff, drivers, travel agents. Couldn't do it without my travel agent, like in our relationship, and we work so well together, and she knows how I think and how I process information, and I know how she likes to receive information. And
that relationship you have to build to trust, to delegate.
Yes. 100%.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. To close, is there anything that you're looking forward to?
Ooh, I'm just looking forward to what's next. Like, I'm more excited than I am scared, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's just out of my control. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to continue on.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in that focus group. I think, again, when I was like, oh my gosh, what? Who is in this room? Like, it really was such a cool moment. Just brainstorming, what does this look like? What can it be? And every step of the way, and coming to all of our events. So thank you for the support you've given us too, and me. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for
excited
doing this.
For you. Yes. Thanks for having me.
For what's next for you. So exciting. Awesome.